when it comes to sci-fi and sci-fi X settings and modern sci-fi, past sci-fi, whatever sci-fi stuff, because I know what I'm talking about, right? In any case, when it comes to that type of stuff, there is always a crowd pleaser, and that is powered armor, right? And if you don't like power armor, I'm sorry to say you are incorrect. I don't make the rules. I just follow them as a law-abiding citizen of nerddom, and it's simply a crowd pleaser. So, what exactly is power armor then, right? It shows up a bunch. What exactly is it? And what are some interesting things potentially in real life that are being worked on to maybe get us towards being clad in awesome power armor? And the major pitfalls for it as well. That's what we've gathered for no reason to discuss. So, by we, I mean me, and hopefully you all. So, let's have fun with that. Just so you know, obligatory plug time. Some of the footage might have my face in the bottom corner of the screen. It's an ugly mug, but it's there because it's recording from a stream. I do stream. Just because I play video games, I figured I might as well. And if you want to join along and just have a cool conversation about stuff like this channel talks about, or just in general, I really encourage you to check out the video description, click the link, leave a follow for the stream, and then come back here and hit the subscribe button to be part of future conversations more easily. Both are free and let you be a part of conversations, both live and in comment form. So, I'm James. Welcome to Mechanical Mayhem. Let's go over the basics of power armor, because pretty much most every setting that incorporates like something that is true blue power armor follows more or less the same formula. And I think having a basic understanding of that formula is going to be helpful for just identifying things in future discussions as well. So, here we are. With that said, the very first thing is you got to suit up because you wear it, right? So power armor is something you wear. You're not sitting in a little cramped compartment with the joystick and doing stuff. That would be a mini mech, which is cool, but not power armor. So you have to be wearing it, just like you wear chainmail or plate armor or whatever the case is. From the olden days, you have to wear this power armor. Now, wearing it isn't quite literally like throwing on a shirt or something. You might step inside of it and close a hatch or whatever, and then put your limbs in the limb spots and everything like that. But as long as your hands are more or less where the hands would be and your feet are more or less where the feet would be of the suit, you're wearing said power armor suit. The second thing is that power armor has either layers or has a foundational component. We can call it a frame or a foundation. This is traditionally an exoskeletal contraption, if you will, an exoskeletal frame that you wear, right? It encapsulates you and you wear it. It's outside of you, so exoskeletal. And this is what all the tech is connected to and all the other stuff, all the cool MacGuffins and things of that nature of the suit. And then the armor protects all that and you as well. Now, if you have some crazy, nanotech suit stuff, this still happens, but typically in layers, maybe having reinforcement and foundational stuff across different layers, but it still more or less has something like this going on within it. And actually, Iron Man's armor from Infinity War, when we see it damaged, we can see that it's got some layering to it, it looks like. They might be fine layers, but they are layers nonetheless, probably to have, attachment points for all the crazy tech and microcircuitry and whatever else is going on. So, the point is that if you don't have something structural in there, the suit isn't going to stay its shape. It's not going to keep its form. It's not going to stay rigid, right? So, you could attach a bunch of armor plating to something that has no real structure. It'll just sag and whatnot, but we don't see that happening in power armor, so it has some type of foundational layering. Moving on to the actual name, power armor, the namesake comes from the fact that the suit is powered. Now, yes, that power might provide power to sensors and other equipment and MacGuffins and war gear and stuff attached to it via power cabling and your life support and flashlights or whatever else, communications, etc. But that's all ancillary bonus stuff. Power simply means the suit is powered to overcome its own weight. So it's an exoskeleton that you're wearing, right? Meaning it has joints to move. But it also has all this stuff on it, including armor, and it's not light. So if you didn't have it powered, it would be really hard, if impossible in certain settings, to move the armor really much at all. And you'll be greatly fatigued in doing so and encumbered, and you might as well not even wear it. But this is where the powered portion of power armor comes from. It's the suit itself powered to maneuver and move and go with you. So it overcomes its own weight. That's the most important thing about the armor being powered. Everything else is secondary to it overcoming its own weight, so you can move around like normal for somebody wearing, something that's really heavy. But in any case, you wouldn't really feel the weight of it. It'd still be bulky and whatnot, but you wouldn't really feel the weight of it, so you can maneuver, you could run, you could move your hands around, put them in the air like you just don't care, whatever, and not be encumbered and instantly fatigued by that action because the suit's got your back in terms of taking care of its own weight. From that, we tend to get enhancements in power armor, meaning the most common one, your strength, is greater in the suit than it would be outside of it because the suit's overcoming its own weight and then some to enhance your strength and capability to pick up heavy objects, throw something perhaps, punch something perhaps as well, rip things apart. Whatever the case is, you have enhanced strength because of the suit in these settings. A lot of them anyway. Other enhancements can happen, such as mobility, whether it's through jump jets or interesting ways in which the suit enhances your running or whatever, either permanently or temporarily, like on command or whatever. You can have some other ancillary enhancements, but the most common one we see at the very least, at minimum, tends to be, if there is any, enhanced strength. This is true even in R&D conceptual designs for power armor in real life that never really got made or widespread, but the idea behind it would be not just to overcome its own weight, but also to do more than that, so you could do more in the field. Now, before we get to armor, because armor doesn't just have to be military-grade armor, I do want to talk about the concept of power armor real quick. We tend to see it in action sequences, right? Superheroes, supervillains, militaristically, action sequence game stuff, because it's really awesome stuff, right? Power armor. But it's not just in those situations that power armor can be really critical and helpful. Hazardous environments also benefit from power armor because it tends to be a sealed environment for you. So you are not exposed to contaminants. You would have to be decontaminated before taking the suit and breaking it down and getting out of it. But that's true with any type of biological contamination protection that you have on. So there's that, but the suit could also provide protection in the vacuum of space, theoretically, with life support, and even underwater for a certain degree, much like the personal kind of like subsuits that exist now. I don't know what they're called, but they exist. And in any case, my point is that power armor is so often associated with action military stuff in games and shows and whatnot because it's awesome, but it also can be very beneficial for pushing the boundaries of human territory, right? If you're going to become multi-planet and eventually maybe multi-system, having something to protect you in the vacuum of space, even more so than even on a potential hostile or unknown situation of a world or a moon, is definitely very beneficial. It doesn't have to be military-grade armor either. It has to be something that's hardened and protective with multiple layers to keep it from being exposed, and it can be a great asset to just doing surveying and exploration and the like as well. So, back to the last portion of power armor. Armor. Whatever it is, whether it's research grade armor, if you want to put it like that, or military grade, it tends to be hardened armor plating in some capacity over soft armor pieces. There might be soft armor pieces, and there could be some power armored examples out there that are predominantly soft armor, but a lot of the more popular ones tend to be hardened armor, of like armor plating. And this is because of two different reasons. Firstly, we can overcome the weight, so why not put some of the best armor you can get your hands on for somebody on the suit? And therefore, basically making them like a walking tank, quite literally, in the armor department. Very durable, very survivable, especially if everything's properly kind of shielded, not shielded, you could say if you have a certain amount of a buffer or not foam, insulation, I guess you could say. If you're insulated from the shock of whatever, definitely very, very durable protective armor. On top of that is one of the guiding principles of settings, the rule of cool. The rule of cool dictates it's got to be cool. And it's easy to make really cool looking designs out of armor plating versus soft armor pieces. It holds its shape better, it's more durable, it just looks great. All the really cool stuff tends to be armor plated in terms of visuals. So, rule of cool plus the fact that it also means, hey, very durable armor. And that's the basics of power armor. Now, we've seen power armor be developed over different years, and over the course of many a year, here and there and everywhere, in regards to the military side of things, maybe even in regards to some exploratory stuff. But at the end of the day, nothing really has come of it just yet. But aspects of a power armored suit have come into being, most notably as our battery technology gets better, or in certain situations where you can be tethered to a power cable without issue, exoskeletal frames, if you want to call it that you wear to support you and help you. We see this a lot in just sharing the load. So it reinforces your shoulders, your back, your legs, and it helps you carry heavy weight, which is beneficial, let's say, in the military for a heavy kit. But outside the military, the industrial sector has been making good use of powered exoskeleton frames, basically. I don't know how much of it is battery tech and how much it might be, if any, cabled. But I would think, depending upon the situation and what you need it for, if it doesn't have to move very far and doesn't need to really get into intricate spots at all, you could really beef up its durability and its load support capabilities and just give it a power cable so you don't ever have to worry about running out of juice. But in any case, the industrial side of things is making use of these exoskeletal style of frames to reduce the fatigue and the wear and tear on the workers, and also make it safer. Because you're not always going to have access to an overhead hoist or be able to jack something up into position far enough. And trying to make it work is never going to be OSHA or whatever your safety organization is known as. It's never going to be on their playbill as okay to do. So having something that gets certified in the form of an exoskeleton frame for said maneuvering will allow one person to just grab, pick up, put something in position, and either fasten it themselves or have a helper come by and just fasten it, and then you move on and do the same thing over and over again, all the while making it safer and less wear and tear for everybody. These type of things don't have to really worry about subtlety or finesse. They're just getting the job done. But having that be refined, as you know, is undoubtedly going to be over time, is definitely a nice start for the foundational layer of power armor. Another exoskeleton frame that tends to be that is being worked on in R&D and is trying to be pushed and advanced is on the medical side of things. For people who have lost some mobility, I'm trying to gain mobility independence back, maybe it was from an illness or an injury, or maybe you can just say age or whatever. These exoskeletal frames, whether full body or partial body, are there to reinforce your limbs and reinforce your body's posture to stand on someone or whatever else, without being intrusive, invasive, or in the way. Able to be worn underneath clothing, so it's very hard to tell, if at all, that you have it, and operate with some finesse and dexterity to allow you to have the standard mobility of a human again. This is really cool stuff because it's got to have some of that fine motor control. It's got to be subtle but not flimsy or weak, and it also needs to have decent power capabilities, power efficiency. All of that would be beneficial to have eventually extrapolated into powered armor. As cool as this stuff is, the biggest pitfalls for power armor right now are twofold. Firstly, and what will always be there forevermore, is cost, right? It's going to be expensive, and cost is always going to limit factors. You're not going to outfit an entire armed force group with power armor because of the cost of it would be absolutely ludicrous. Even like a special forces style of group trained to use it, whatever else, you're not putting them in guard duty, you're putting them in the extra dangerous stuff, which you're putting that really expensive suit and that really capable personnel and all that training into dangerous situations. So, that's always going to be a nail biter for bean counting and budgeting. But even outside of the military side of things and exploration and whatever else, money is always going to be a factor, right? Now, thankfully, with technology, as it progresses and gets refined from its first initial start to progressive models, you can say, and just getting better and better, the technology not only gets better, but gets cheaper. Not at the same time, literally, but both tend to happen, right? Computers are ridiculously powerful these days in comparison to the 90s, right? But the cost of them to get a basic laptop today, which would blow the doors off of anything from the 90s and early 2000s, is cheaper than what it would have cost to get an equal basic laptop at that time. That's what I mean by technology gets better and also gets more affordable. So this will always help drive costs down on things, but power armor being what it is naturally going to be a big cost sink for sure. But that could, in theory, get overcome by just technological progression. The second thing that's a big pitfall that we really are going to be limited by until we eventually get that fusion MacGuffin or other type of power core going, or get that next level of battery technology, which we're kind of overdue for, in my opinion, is the power source. It can't be something that works like an internal combustion engine or a fuel cell, because that has limitations. That tends to need air, can't be submerged, things of that nature, and that just isn't going to work. Plus, you can't just spin it 360 and have it be okay. Where power armor might not always be standing perfectly upright. It might be on laying down or on an angle or in a weird position, depending upon what's going on. So we need a power source that can accommodate that. That isn't going to be super heavy like battery technology currently is, can provide long-lasting power well beyond the operational parameters you might be needing it for, because you never know what's going to go wrong and what you're going to need to have happen. And until we get there truly, we're really going to see power armor be just something of awesome sci-fi stuff. Now, I'm not saying that if those two things were figured out tomorrow, that power armor would suddenly be popping up everywhere. It still might not be a thing, but in going forward, there'll be technological progression and things such as even better exoskeletal frames and the like to come, I'm sure. So there'll still be some pretty cool tech happening. Plus, all the other ancillary tech that's part of a powered armor suit, which we currently have access to and are making even better, by the time we get to the point where we could make, a Space Marine Mark 10 Tacticus suit in real life to function like that, minus the whole black carapace integration or whatever else. The technology that's like for programming and circuitry and everything else is going to be just so much further beyond where we're at right now, so that's pretty cool. In any case, that's the basics of power armor and then some in terms of just spitballing and talking about it. You'll find that pretty much most settings, if you break down the power armor that exists in that setting and really look at it, it's following more or less that template, if you will, that those abiding by those rules more or less. Even some of the more extreme radical design concepts for power armor seem to be following those style of rules. And that's pretty much it. So thanks so much for tuning in and stopping by. If you made it to the very end of this video, I appreciate you taking the time to at least let it run in the background while you're doing stuff, if not outright paying attention to it. Definitely share your thoughts. If you know a setting that has something that seems like it's powered armor, but you would call it really radical at the very edge of what could be considered power armor, share it in the comment section just to see what that stuff might be like. Don't forget, link to the stream on Twitch is in the video description. Leaving a follow there and subscribing here is completely free. And lets you be part of conversations as they can happen. So just something to consider. In any case, thanks so much for your time. Don't forget to go outside, touch some grass, do some activities, whatever the case might be. And until next time, take care.